A ball joint is what allows your suspension to pivot as it moves up and down. It's made of a ball and a socket, kind of like your hip. The socket is attached to the suspension arm, and the ball often has an integrated stud that is a bolted connection to your wheel carrier. Usually there's a protective rubber boot that holds grease inside the joint to keep it lubricated, like your hip. My truck's dust boots were more like debris shaped in the form of a puck that was gunked around the ball joint. It wasn't doing much, and ball joints are pretty important, so we should probably fix that. They're just a rubber boot. Surely it's easy to replace them as they wear out, right? Well, after spending more time than I'd like to admit on sites searching for the right length and right inner and outer diameters, I finally found ball joints that were more expensive than I expected. Also, are you telling me that my truck has the same ball joints as a Hummer? Actually, new ball joints come with a boot, and they're cheaper than those aftermarket ones. So, why not just get new ball joints? Well, the stock ones are riveted on with 3 big rivets here. YouTube video experts tell me that using a pneumatic chisel is the best way to remove them. I do not own a pneumatic chisel. So, here's how engineering works. An engineer has a great idea. They lamely attempt to justify it as more than just something that would be cool. And usually this is where a peer offers sage wisdom. But he sits on this LOL for a full 13 minutes before offering an equivalently lame confirmation. And if you think this isn't how we design your trains, bridges, and space shuttles, you are wrong. A quick Google tells me no one has attempted this, but I literally didn't search any harder than this, so maybe somebody has. For now, I'll say we're boldly going where no man has before. Let's get to work. This video is not sponsored by Onshape yet, but I'll do a free plug for their online software if you have a need for engineering modeling. It's a very similar field to SolidWorks and can easily knock out quick parts like this. If this works, it's a great example of how 3D printing disrupts traditional industries, especially for injected molded parts. If it doesn't, well, that's why we had a design review, so we can blame somebody else. None of these dimensions are very critical. I'm going to be printing this out of a flexible filament, so we just need to get these top and bottom bores roughly correct and make sure that the overall shape is self-supporting for 3D printing. Anyway, revolve the sketch, and then for the most important design review of all, spinning the model for no reason but to admire our work. We export to 3MF, import to Prusa Slicer, and 2 hours and 33 minutes later, we are ready to go. Call me scrappy, call me lazy, but my baseline was this. They were dry, open to the environment, and clearly my ball joint was still working. We just need to be better than that. Installing the ball joint went smoothly. I made the boots a little longer so that they would be cupped on the top and the bottom by the suspension members. Cupped, not crushed. And there's no wiggle, so I'm calling it good. Next step is to inject some grease into the fitting here. But I forgot to do that and ended up driving the truck for like 30 miles with no grease. We should probably check on that. After taking the wheel off, the boot looks exactly the same as it did 30 miles ago, so that's good. I don't really know what I'm looking for, but there's no splits or metal shavings, so let's call that good. You feel the grease from this Zerk fitting at the top, which is pretty thoroughly crusted over. We'll clean that little dude off. No idea how to tell if it's clear, so let's just full send some grease. Also have no idea what kind of grease this is. We're really doing our due diligence on this. A couple squeezes and it's overflowing, so something is obviously wrong. Let's take the fitting off entirely, and yeah, there is nothing obviously wrong. This is mostly new grease with some old at the bottom. It's more grease than solid, so that's something. Stick that fitting back on. Let's try again. A fool is someone who tries the same experiment and expects different results. Somebody smart said that. I'm getting more grease on me here than inside the ball joint, and you know what? It got this far with that old ball joint. We're good here. I'm going to replace them eventually, I promise. So, can you 3D print a ball joint boot? Absolutely. Should you? I guess I'll have to get back to you. We'll see how much grease got in there when I replace the ball joints. Probably none. Probably doesn't matter. Probably.